Dressed in lab coats and onesies and armed with markers, microscopes, and National Geographics, the next Armstrong and Da Vinci. These future leaders are part of an after-school program for kids in Watts.
We connect with the teachers. They send us over their schedule, so we know what they have, what their struggles are, and what's their strengths, so we can pair them up with another kid so they can show them their strengths, and then they can lift them up.
Tanya Dorsey started Watts Community Corps in November 2019 as a boxing gym at Nickerson Gardens, a way for at-risk youth to release tension. COVID hit, and Dorsey started feeding the kids and their parents who would otherwise go hungry. It quickly turned into a feeding program with a weekly line of about 700 people wrapped around the block, with help from a Food for Less partnership and a few stars.
Who knew? I remember you asked me once before, who did I know or would I ever imagine being close with Brad or Flea? I will never, ever imagine me rubbing elbows with these stars, but their family.
You're more than rubbing elbows. I saw you hugging him. Yep, the Brad Pitt, or as Dorsey calls him, Pitts.
It's a funny joke to us. That's what we do. And he cracks up.
I'm just in on the 105, so I'm probably about 5 to 7 minutes.
We were there in the summer of 2020 when Mr. Hollywood came barreling through the back in a box truck full of baskets so Watts residents could wheel home their groceries. He secretly did it every week, along with actress Monet Mazer, who serves on the nonprofit's board, and Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, who just held an auction for the nonprofit at his home.
I like being connected. And so the people that are coming today to receive food, they're in a very humble and vulnerable position.
He also hears us when we need him for advice and everything. He's family, so he comes here, him and his wife.
While still regularly giving away food, WCC recently moved next door to transform the top of this gray duplex on East 112th into a safe after-school place for kids to thrive. With help from other volunteers, Dorsey counsels and ministers to the kids and inspires them through art, math, and science.
This is our research and development room. We want the kids to come and explore and go deep into DNA.
Are there gems in here?
Absolutely. And that's their first kit of assignment. We have the lab coats starting them off with being with NASA.
Rocket scientists.
Yes.
Watts Community Corps also hosts toy and clothing drives, giving away diapers and other necessities.
So the kids get some shoes.
Dorsey still offers boxing and even skateboarding at this local skate park where kids used to just run up and down the ramps. All thanks to donations from the community and this Watts woman who juggles.
Welcome to another episode of You Left Shit Out. I'm your host for today. I'm Compton J or CJ or J, or my government name, James. But again, we have two James on the network, so I was designated J, and then CJ kind of spun off into CJ. So I like it, so I just went with it. But welcome everybody to today's stream. Ding dong, the witch is gone. I guess Nancy Pelosi is going to be, or she's stepping down. And in the same way that how media treated the death of Queen Elizabeth, the ruling class and its PR arm, mainstream media, is acting like is giving this person traits that she does not deserve, in my opinion. So in our segment, By Felicia, because that's the sentiment. And if you know the line By Felicia or the phrase, that's from Friday. Craig, played by Ice Cube. There was a neighborhood person that he didn't want around. So he would always just say, Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. And it just kind of became a pop culture thing. So it's the feeling. The feeling is don't let the doorknob hit you on the way out. And that is absolutely the feeling, even from reformists. And we'll take a look at that today. But started out with this video because I will be at a fundraiser. Actually, I don't know if I will be there, but RBN will be represented. I'm not sure I don't think I will be there, but RBN will be represented at this fundraiser. And this is the organization. Watts Community Corps, Tanya the lady featured in this video, she was I'll zoom back to where they have a close up her, but she was here for the activist summit. She was on the activist summit, and it's the stream is up. It's Watts Community Core LARBN Community Outreach. That's the name of the stream, the title. So if you want to go and see the interview and so I know her. So I'm not technically from Watts, but literally the street over. I used to live on the street. So Watts is like off of near Imperial, and then the next street over is like 107th, and that's where so it was the next street over. So we have people we know, and my sister knows her, like from the city, not like from something else. She knows her from growing up, and she started this thing, and it's just grown into this real working class people helping working class people thing. And she keeps it real. She hasn't sold out. And if you go watch that stream, you will see what I mean. We discover it during the stream, and you'll see the conversation. So go check that out. Watts Community Core. You can find them on Instagram. They have their own website. You can Google them or YouTube them. There's more videos that you can find on what they're doing. And a year ago this December, so 13 months ago, RBN was at another event, their Christmas event. And we raised money to give. I think we end up overachieving, because that was the original target, wasn't this, but we end up giving out like 21 $50 gift cards to families. I think that's a little more than 2,000, right? Yeah. Is that right? I don't know the math, but anyway, we raised enough money to give, I believe it was 21 families $50 gift cards, and she's having another event. Here it is here. Thanksgiving Turkey Day. This is sort of short notice of our participation. This is why we need a little bit of help in the background. This is just something that, for me, fell through the cracks. I should have gave everybody heads up about this event a few days ago. This just fell, so that's on me. But anyway, still gonna participate, still going to have RBN represented, and we want to raise funds to contribute to this. So they will be giving out turkey. So it'll be literally, I believe it's 1,000 turkey. Wait, no. So go back and look at that stream. During that stream, we talk about this event and what we're going to be doing. So it's thousands of turkeys anyway. So they have the turkeys covered. So, we just want to have a small contribution from the RBN community, maybe raise about $500 to give away about 25 gift cards. And that should be about 20 families. We can give $25 gift cards for Thanksgiving. So they'll receive a turkey from Watts Community Core, and then I think I'll see if Dylan can do it. Yeah, probably Dylan. So not me, but Dylan, or a representative. I'm not going to say him for sure, but a representative will be there to give out $25 gift cards if we're able to raise those funds through our community. And again, the Cash App and the Venmo, they're just opposites. Cash App is Mutual Aid Forever, and Venmo is Forever Mutual Aid. So if you are able to contribute $5, $10, $50, or if you're able to contribute more, please do. Let me let a little more of this video play, and then we'll get to the topic. And of course, the topic is by Felicia. She'll be making her exit. I think everybody's ready for her to go. And I'll show a tweet that kind of goes into this, but where am I looking at to get some info? Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Here. So Nancy Pelosi steps down. We'll also be talking about Italian police they bus this. This is what they say: bus Azov Nazi terrorist or terrorist cell. So they were preparing to do something, and they're Azov. You know, the Azov battalion, part of the Ukraine military. There's somebody tied to that that's connected to this this bus by Italian police. And then we'll talk about still surrounded Pelosi stepping down, but we'll talk about the tall tales that mainstream media or corporate owned media is talking about Nancy Pelosi like she's an anointed, just the greatest of the greatest. And then we'll talk about Steny Hoyer is not going to seek speakership. He's already put that out. So who's next? Is it Hakeem Jeffries? Are they going to go the full identity politics route, but he has the same politics as the ruling class? So we'll talk about that also. So that's some of the other stories. But again, let me finish playing this video. It's a pretty cool video. I didn't know that Brad Pitt and some other, because there's even more other celebrity types that are involved now, even since this video. I knew about Flea, but I didn't know about Brad Pitt. So that was interesting. Not that it makes a difference, but I thought anything that will bring a person's eyes to activism. So if it's a celebrity that they like, hey, look what he's doing. I'm down for that. Let's listen.
Imagine being close with Brad or Flea. I will never, ever imagine me rubbing elbows with these stars, but they're family.
You're more than rubbing elbows. I saw you hugging him. Yep, the Brad Pitt, or as Dorsey calls him, Pitts.
It's a funny joke to us. That's what we do. And he cracks up.
I'm just in on the 105, so I'm probably about 5 to 7 minutes.
We were there in the summer of 2020 when Mr. Hollywood came barreling through the back in a box truck full of baskets so Watts residents could wheel home their groceries. He secretly did it every week, along with actress Monet Mazer, who serves on the nonprofit's board, and Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, who just held an auction for the nonprofit at his home.
I like being connected. And so the people that are coming today to receive food, they're in a very humble and vulnerable position.
He also hears us when we need him for advice and everything. He's family, so he comes here, him and his wife.
While still regularly giving away food, WCC recently moved next door to transform the top of this gray duplex on East 112th into a safe after-school place for kids to thrive. With help from other volunteers, Dorsey counsels and ministers to the kids and inspires them through art, math, and science.
This is our research and development room.
Now ask yourself this question, because this is a good video to talk about activism versus electoralism. How long would it take to go through the electoral process to get all of this done? To get the funding for this? How long would that take? You see the power of activism versus the power of electoralism. Now, maybe, and of course, electoral politics was a lot more effective before, after the ruling class had its assault on it from the beginning. So, but this is a good way of explaining to people so invested in electoralism. Just give them an example. What do you want in your community? We need the kids, the mothers in our community, the single mothers in our community. They work a lot, and they need assistance with childcare and maybe providing breakfast. How long would it take to go through the electoral process to get that type of funding, to get that and get somebody hired, versus somebody in the community just raising the money and doing those things? So that's what needs to be the first step in our theory of change, because you have to provide for the material needs of people before people can start waking up to being more conscious. Right now, they're talking about survival. So look at it this way. It's like asking somebody who's drowning to do some other activity. Do you think they're going to stop trying to prevent themselves from drowning before they do whatever you ask them to do? You get what I'm saying? So that's RBN's focus is providing for the material needs. Then you can talk to somebody about consciousness. Then you can talk to somebody about, but if they're drowning, so somebody's drowning in the pool and you're going to be like, hey, what you want for dinner tonight? That's how it goes. You get what I'm saying? Like, so anyway, let's listen to the rest of this because it's inspiring and it talks about the organization that we're going to be helping and we're raising funds for tomorrow's event.
We want the kids to come and explore and go deep into DNA.
Are there gems in here?
Absolutely. And that's their first kit of assignment. We have the lab coats starting them off with being with NASA.
Rocket scientists.
Yes.
Watts Community Corps also hosts toy and clothing drives, giving away diapers and other necessities.
So the kids get some shoes.
Dorsey still offers boxing and even skateboarding at this local skate park where kids used to just run up and down the ramps. All thanks to donations from the community and this Watts woman who juggles 4 side jobs to selflessly give back to the community where she was born and raised and help at-risk youth realize their dreams.
A lot of people grow up and they still don't know who they are to even know what they want to do. So when we find out who we are on the inside, then we can put it out there and display it in our works.
With it being Black History Month, what is your message to kids here in Watts?
Just learn the history. Every time you hear a story and you get connected to the story as why that person was deemed a Black history hero, then it will have you appreciating life. Then you will find your niche to see how you can change the world.
Just like you're doing.
Thank you.
In Watts, Haley Winslow, Fox 11 News.
Love that story. When you
Shut up. So let's listen. Don't really want to listen to these people say anything. So that is Watts Community Corps, and I'm just putting in the information. I'm going to let it scroll down to the bottom as we move on to the stories of today. So 1 second. So Venmo is mutual. Venmo is the one that's the other way. So Forever, we got some pretty cool mutual aid names. So Venmo, Forever Mutual Aid, and then for Cash App, we have the opposite. What is the thing for Cash App? Is it $? Yeah, it's mutual aid forever. So I'll put this and let this just kind of scroll. Well, actually, let me put it on the screen first, and then I'll let it scroll at the bottom. So donations to Watts fundraiser, $20, $25 gift cards for 20 families. Send donations to Venmo, Forever Mutual Aid, Cash App, Mutual Aid Forever. Alrighty, so $25 gift cards. I believe that's $500. Yes. So that is the target. If we raise more, then we'll just give it to more families, just like we did the last fundraiser. And if you're on Twitter, we tweeted it out from the main account. If you can retweet that, if you're not able to donate, at least you're able to share. Somebody is able to see, somebody's able to give, and we're able to help. This is short notice, and it's my fault. I learned this 2 days. Was it 2 days ago? So this fell through my lap. Anyway, let's now go to a chat check and let's check everything and get into the topics for today. I think I want to start with Pramila Jayapal because she is terrible. And yeah, she is just terrible. There's no other way to say it. So that is the title of the next of the first topic. Let me bring up my bookmark here. So I have a video from, so what I'm going to do is bring up the video and then I'll do with the chat check and everything. So I have a video from Case Study QB once again. Where is it at? Here. So let's put that in the window. So this video, Pramila Jayapal again, and I'm saying this because I think it was yesterday we had a segment where it was she was on another show with Chris Hayes talking about something else. But this one, let me see where she's on. She's on the readout. Oh God, where Joyanne Reed. So this is the video we will be discussing first. Pramila Jayapal is terrible, but I think she's terrible to the workers, which means the ruling class, they're like, oh, she's fantastic. The ruling class probably thinks she's fantastic. Look how pitiful she's playing the role of loser. Look how incompetent she's making left policies look. So the ruling class is in love with Pramila Jayapal, but let's go to the chat, and as we go to the chat, we have 155 likes and 300 people watching. Can we push to 225 likes? 225 likes. So like this video. Let's get some more people here. Hopefully more eyes here will be able to we'll have more people with the possibility to donate to the fundraiser that we're trying to do for these Watts families tomorrow. And the reason she's doing the turkey giveaway an entire week is that she's thinking of the people who are helping too. She wants them to be able to go and be with their families next week. So she's doing it a week before so people can have their turkeys. I mean, it's good for people to be able to get their turkeys a week in advance also anyway. So that's the reason why it is tomorrow. I'll pop up the flyer a couple of times because I know people will jump into the live feed and not know what we're talking about. But like the stream. Let's get to 225 likes. The next thing is, did I take it off? I think I took it off, or I did not take it off. It is here. Substack. Join our Substack. If you are watching this on replay and you wish you were here live, or if you got here 90 minutes into the stream and you're like, man, I wish I knew about this earlier. If you join our Substack, you will get notifications from, I will say now 20 minutes. There's usually 20 minutes for like clips, 15 or 20 minutes for clips, and then 30 minutes to up to like 2 hours for a live stream. So, join our Substack and you will get those notifications. I really don't recommend depending on YouTube. It's good sometimes. It's good sometimes, but sometimes it's not. And in particular, on particular subjects, it's not. So now let's see what people are saying in the chat. I'll start from the top to make sure I don't miss any super chats, anything like that. So only a few decades late. And I'm assuming you're referring to the thumbnail and the title as far as Nancy Pelosi stepping down. And is she really stepping down? Because she's losing the speakership. Like if they pulled off the House again, do we think she would be stepping down? I don't think so. Power just doesn't walk away. When it's defeated, then it'll step away. With this pretend Yas Queen, the way they're talking about her. Yes, y'all cover the good stuff. Thank you. Yes, so this is the better way because she was really more pushed out, not like she's stepping down on her own. So you mean she stumbled down? Yes. I guess that can have two references to her slurred speech also. Yes, she's not going away. this is what we're gonna get to into the. I mean, we can talk about it now, but she's not going away. She's the funnel for the corporate money. She's always have major influence. What she's gonna do, and she said this. She's gonna stay in her seat and be an advisor, is what they described. She's gonna be an advisor. So so she'll be ruling from the back. She'll still have power. Kind of like Obama has this power. They'll keep her head in a jar like in Futurama. Thank you, Mark. And Henry, talk about someone who's defecated all over the American people. Thank you. Let's see. Joe, if you think Nancy Pelosi is outrageous, check out Senator Dianne Feinstein from California. Her husband is also registered lobbyist, and he is worth over $1 billion. You are right, Joe. And the only reason people talk about Pelosi more because she has the hammer. She has the speaker gavel. Because you're right, Dianne Feinstein is worse, and she's in worse condition. She literally should be in a sort of care facility. Yeah. She doesn't want to be blamed. I thought she had 2 to 4 years. I heard the same, or I thought the same thing. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Or at least wasn't, or won't have access to rob the citizens. Not sure about that, but I get the sentiment. Kamala should take over Pelosi. Well, she's not a senator, or she's not in the House, I should say. It's a more accurate. Well, let's hope the stream is going to be fire. Let's hope it will be. If they pick Clyburn as speaker, I'm so done with them. And that's P. Wayne Smith. And this one here, just like they have a rotating villain, Pelosi was just the face of their capitalist and imperialist policies. She'll be replaced with someone just as bad or worse. And you are spot on. Is that Prim 54? Spot on. You think Hakeem Jeffries is gonna be any different? And who's the other person they were I can't remember. No one, or Jim Clyburn. You just said Jim Clyburn is gonna be any different. And I know, yeah, you mean majority leader. Yes. None of these people are gonna be any different. Alex, Pelosi getting ready to be the least missed person to ever leave anything ever. Absolutely. And do you think she's going to turn around and be a lobbyist? Wouldn't that be something? Bye, Felicia. I'm so glad CHAG is gone. I haven't heard that word CHAG in a while. Hey, y'all. You're right, Roman. Don't fool yourselves. She ain't going nowhere. I think that's enough. We've just reached 400 people, so let's like the stream and push to 300 likes. Actually, let's push to 300 likes, and we're gonna get in the first topic. So our topic went from 225 to 300. Now that we have 400 people here, the topic number 1 will be Pramila Jayapal is terrible. We're going to be discussing or analyzing, viewing, breaking down this interview case study curated from the readout. And for the upcoming segment with Pelosi, we're going to watch her speak. So I'm warning you in advance. This is a trigger warning. If we're going to have a vomit session. Okay. So when we have to listen to that vomit-inducing speech, because it's terrible to hear the lies. So just a heads up, we're having a vomit-inducing session in just a couple of segments. So let's get to this first video with. Where is it? Where am I? Oh, right here. I doubt if we watched the whole 8 minutes, but it's 7 minutes and 55 seconds. It's just a heads up.
The 2022 midterms were a huge success for progressive Democrats. Of the 18 candidates the Progressive Caucus endorsed this cycle, 16 have won their races so far, including the first Gen Z Congress member, Maxwell Frost.
Now, let's pause here because Nick and I did a stream on the new squad members. And it's in the clip segment. If you go to our YouTube page, the very first row of videos is in that section. So let's quickly go over some of the people. Oh, wow. The Long Beach mayor. This is who I used to work for. What did he? Oh, he got elected to somewhere. Okay. So when I get to him, because I used to work for City Hall in Long Beach. But anyway, so Max Frost. So we covered these people. Most of them had very big issues with the Palestine. So most of these people are progressive except for Palestine. I remember Greg Caesar being one of the more egregious ones. Summer, I believe, were more, as far as publicly, were more the better ones. As far as her willingness to speak out about Palestine, but she was just as bad on Israel, saying something about a two-party state or two-state solution. But she did say, about Palestine's, speak out a little more forcefully than the others. Not like us, but more compared to the others, better. Jasmine Crockett, funded by a crypto billionaire, along with some of these other ones. I do remember Dahlia was the one where we found two. Is that it? Dahlia Ramirez, where we found two conflicting articles. One where she was took money from J Street, which would assume that she's down with Israel. And then I found another article that labored her in the headline as a pro-Palestinian progressive. So, and then there's Becca Valiant. Becca Valiant is two-state solution. Same thing. Max Frost, Nick did a stream, put a clip up about him, and he's also just as bad on Israel-Palestine. I don't know about Robert Garcia. He was the former mayor of Long Beach, and I used to work in the transportation department. In City Hall, and when he was mayor. So I was down there during the time that he was mayor, and so I would see and talk, not small talk, not like I knew him that well. I don't want you to give you an impression like I knew him like that. Just small talk and having to do business with his office because we were in a couple of floors below. So I don't know, but he's a Democrat, so I can assume he has all the same problems, right? Now, to get elected in Long Beach, and Long Beach has a very large LGBTQIA community, like large. They have to rank in the top 5 in the United States. Like I know San Francisco, I know Florida, and then Long Beach has to be 3 or 4. So you have to be sort of real progressive to even get elected, because it's a large population that lives right around the LGBTQ community, right around, and they're active. They don't fucking play. Like the city halls are packed. I'm not saying with LGBTQ, but whenever there's something going on, it's something that they're debating in city hall, like people show up at this city hall. I remember several times leaving work where things were blocked off and there was lines and lines of people waiting to get in, protesters waiting outside. So I can only assume Robert is just as bad, but we can give him the benefit of the doubt if you like, but understand he is a Democrat, and if they're putting their weight behind him, there's a reason they're putting their weight behind him. So, but these are called the incoming Democrats. Now, we didn't do one on, I think this says Shuri, or I don't even know who these other people, Julia. These three here we did not work on. So we did not include in the stream. So, but let's continue with the video.
Of Florida, former Austin City Council member Greg Cathar, and a trio of state representatives, Delia Ramirez in Illinois, Jasmine Crockett in Texas, and Summer Lee, the first Black woman elected to the House from Pennsylvania, making this upcoming Democratic caucus the most progressive that we have seen in decades. Oh, okay, but there's one caveat. Republicans have officially taken control.
So this is true, and I'm only bringing this up because we live by it. So this is, ports of all Long Beach or freeways in Long Beach are always filled with a lot of these trucks. So going back and forth, like my mom lives right at the border of Compton and Long Beach, so I have to get off in Long Beach. So there's always tons and tons, rows and rows of trucks that are either leaving or coming from the port. So it is a port town, and I worked in the transportation department, which handled the port. So you are correct. It is a very important. If we were ever to do a general strike, Long Beach and Los Angeles would be very important points, because those are where the ports. So if we ever got like union members at the ports to participate, those are cut off. Those are choke points for the ruling class are out of Long Beach port and Los Angeles port. I think it's something like 40% of goods come through that from the United States. So that is correct. Okay, here is the name of the person. I'm sorry. Shri Thanidar, multimillionaire. I'll pass. No, thank you. I'll pass. Like, these progressives are getting worse and worse. Do you notice? Like, yes, this is the feeling. And this is what we'll be doing probably this whole stream. It's particularly when we get to the Nancy Pelosi segment. I think I'll just make the segment called that. Can I just do that? Can I just put vomit faces as the segment title? But anyway, Pramila Jayapal is terrible. Let's continue with the video. I gotta stop stopping it. Let's continue. I'll make sure I play at least a couple minutes.
Control of the House. NBC News projects that they have reached that 218-seat threshold with a couple of races still uncalled. But even if it comes down to a majority of just one Republican, it does still give people like Kevin McCarthy and Marjorie Greene leverage over legislation, investigations, and funding the government over the next 2 years. So what can this new larger group of progressives accomplish? Well, joining me now is Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal of Washington, who is the chair of the House Progressive Caucus. We have a very adorable picture. I'm going to show it to you. This is Maxwell Frost's selfie that he took. There you guys are. You guys are looking great. You look very happy. But now that you...
Very symbolic. He's already captured. You get it? He's already captured. Captured in this picture and captured by Pramila. She does no good. Anything she touches is terrible. Yes, we'll be doing a lot of this today. That's funny. I think that the vomit face is pretty funny to me. So, but yeah, all right. So he is already captured. I think is very symbolic here.
You know that you're looking at a Kevin McCarthy speakership. Are you less happy?
Well, of course. I mean, there's no question we would have been happiest if we could have held the House and done the rest of the agenda, which clearly the country responded to, Joy. I mean,
she's been on for what, 10 seconds? Several lies. Already several lies. So let me go back a little bit. Do you really believe she wished they kept the majority? Really? Do you really believe she wished the progressives, because if they kept the majority, it would have been slimmer than it is now. Like if they won those four races in New York, and they put somebody in California who came very close, and the Democrats didn't put any money into it at all. They put some money, that race could have been won, so that could have been 5 seats right there. So it would have been slimmer. They would have had more progressives. You think they would have then used their power? Are we believing this? It would have been something like a 4 or 5 seat majority, 3 to 5 seat majority, I should say. Are we to believe that she wished that they had that type of pivotal power where the spotlight is on them to do stuff now? Come on.
Done the rest of the agenda, which clearly the country...
The rest of the agenda. The rest of the agenda. The rest of the agenda. Okay, Pramila Lies. Is that how you spell it? Is that how you spell abundant? I don't spell good, so tell me if that's... Pramila Lies are abundant. Abundant. I think, hey, whatever is whatever. She lies a lot here, so let's go.
Responded to, Joy. I mean, when you look at the election results, and here's the thing, if you promise a bunch of things and you put together a diverse coalition, and then you deliver on things like climate change and...
This is why the progressive movement is so disconjointed. This is why the left is so disconjointed, and the progressive movement. I see the progressive movement as a part of a broader left. I don't see them as the left movement. They're a more milquetoast left movement, a professional managerial class movement. But this is why I say this is the problem with the professional managerial class being the faces of what's known as the progressives. Because, like, they're willing to sell out and team up with the blue Democratic, blue MAGA team in order to get minuscule gains. So is it worth selling out BDS? Is it worth moving the Overton window, like shoving it far right by describing this presidency and the gains of this presidency as these wins for progressives? Like, she's terrible. She's terrible. And as Brianna Joy Gray pointed out, and I think multiple times, I think I've seen her refer to this, she is really the architect of the failures of the progressives. She's the architect. She has her hands and her feet in all of it. Petty bourgeoisie theater. It doesn't matter if it isn't true. This is petty bourgeoisie theater. The problem with theater is if you're watching a puppet show, if all of us are at a puppet show, a kid's puppet show, we're all outside at a park, lawn chairs, watching, facing forward, a nice little puppet show. We're all laughing, right? But let's say there was an adult there who thought it was serious. Like, they're responding to the puppet show and what's happening as if they didn't understand that this was a puppet show. And that's what we have with a lot of the population. I would say the vast majority of the population. I wouldn't say that because I need to make the caveat. We're not talking about the people that don't vote. They get this is bullshit. but the vast majority of the population that is participating mildly all the way up to heavy partisans. I lost all respect for every progressive after they all voted for the CARES Act. Thank you, Dana. And I must agree. I mean, I didn't lose all. I already had pretty low respect for him. How does she sleep at night? That is a good question. And I think it can be answered many ways, but this is the way I choose to answer it. I think we are bestowing upon them the same ideas of what a leftist is. A leftist that is a professional managerial class style leftist, and a leftist that's trying to liberate those that are marginalized and oppressed. She's a boutique leftist. Just for show. Like, how many actual acts that aren't progressive does a so-called progressive have to do in order for us to say, well, that's not progressive? If I call myself a vegetarian, but you see me over, 10 days eat 10 meals that don't qualify as vegetarian, when are you going to stop calling me a vegetarian? What vote has the squad progressives Jayapal done that indicates a progressive mind? What? Because we can point out several that indicates a warmonger. We can point out several of those votes. So let's continue. Case study QB, shout out. Thanks for the video.
Student debt cancellation and the American Rescue Plan, people get excited and they want to come out and vote for you. If you say we're going to codify abortion rights and voting rights. So there's a lot of the agenda.
Did you notice there? She was like, oh, shit. I shouldn't have said that last one. And you notice she didn't complete the sentence there. Because they're not going to do that. Wow. Let me play that again. She went to abortion rights. If you tell people we're going to codify abortion rights, then she didn't complete the sentence. And you can kind of see a change in her facial expression. Because she realized, I thought it was before the election still. And I was supposed to be rambling on things we were going to do. And she had to stop. She has to stop including that. Because they're not doing that.
Coalition, and then you deliver on things like climate change and student debt cancellation and the American Rescue Plan, people get excited and they want to come out and vote for you. If you say we're going to codify abortion rights and voting rights. So there's a lot of the agenda that we still have to get done. But I will
you literally can see her face go, oh, I should not have done that. And she pivots mid-sentence. Yes, we will be using the vomit sign a lot today. The vomit icon today. Wow. I want to see that again.
And then you deliver on things like climate change and student debt cancellation and the American Rescue Plan. People get excited and they want to come out and vote for you. If you say we're going to codify abortion rights and voting rights. So there's a lot of the agenda that we still have to get done. But I will tell you that the power of the populist progressive movement across the country is clear. It's clear with these candidates.
they're trying to sell as if the progressive plan is getting done. How is how is Pramila Jayapal? How are progressives not roasting Pramila Jayapal and demanding her resignation from the Progressive Caucus? She literally goes out on corporate news to pat the Biden administration on the back and say how the progressive agenda is getting done when it's not. And I'm not even progressive. American Rescue Plan, when did that become a progressive agenda? Largest investment in climate history, when did that become a progressive agenda? Because, again, largest investment in history, you can claim that if you had no investment at all. Any investment is the largest. Cap on prescription drug prices, that don't happen. It happens to like a handful of drugs, maybe 20 some odd drugs in a couple of years. Student loan debt relief that has been squashed. Why is Pramila Jayapal not saying, hey, that thing you're putting up on the screen, that's not our shit? But then you'll be able to have these people that watch these stations understand leftism and progressivism to be this. What do you mean? Joe Biden is not progressive. Look at this shit. Because Pramila Jayapal, the actor in the narrative that have been given the role for the audience as progressive, is saying this is what's happening. Do TYT, Majority Report, and all the other Justice Democrat liking strategy media, do they go after Pramila Jayapal? This is an honest question, because I don't know. The rescue plan. I know they critiqued her because I used a video before, but the broader thing, the broader analysis I'm making is, why aren't we calling for, if we're progressive, why aren't we calling for the resignation? What I don't understand about progressives is, if you're progressive here, but it's like they're moving to the right. They know they're moving to the right, but they don't classify it as moving to the right. The same thing with this Ukraine war. And this is the fatal flaw with teaming up with the Democratic Party. As the Democratic Party, a right, center right, far right party goes right or execute their center right plans, you have to attach yourself to those things as wins that aren't wins. This is the fatal flaw. These are one of many flaws in the strategy, the Justice Democrat strategy. Many, many flaws. But let's see if we can continue the video. Lots to discuss in this video.
Who are not just candidates that won in deep blue districts. They are candidates who won in very competitive frontline districts, like in Pennsylvania. In Oregon, we got 2 progressives elected in frontline districts in Oregon. And it matches the populist ballot initiatives that won across the country. Yeah. Right? Like legalizing marijuana, raising the minimum wage, capping interest rates on medical debt. These are all things that won, expanding Medicaid in a state like South Dakota. Absolutely. So these are the things that won. And I think the lesson for us here is, we might have to be an opposition party in the House with Republican leadership, last line of defense, but we also have to be a proposition party. We have to show people what we stand for, give people hope that if we get into office, we will do what we did again in this last term, pass more.
We will do what we did again in this last term. Do we all see how everything has just been flipped, as if this administration has done a great job. When the polling literally a few months ago was bad, I mean, still bad, but we were just talking about how everything was underwater. And magically, things have all of a sudden flipped. And the Inflation Reduction Act is terrible. Because she mentioned that before, the Inflation Reduction Act. Let's go to Black Agenda. Oop, the hell? We're going to go to Black Agenda Report and bring up the Inflation Reduction Act, because the Inflation Reduction Act, you're calling this a climate bill. It's not. It's not a climate bill. Black Agenda Report. Let's see what they have on them. I think they wrote something for them. Oh, ads. These are ads. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to pop this article up. Let's do that. Actually, I don't want to. So I'll switch screens because I don't want to take that down and lose our place there. So can you see that headline? I can't take that off. So why the Inflation Reduction Act is less a climate bill and more a poison pill. Indigenous communities and hold on a second. It feels like there's something missing here. So let me slide this over. Huh. Why is it opening like this? Okay. All right. So there it goes. There it goes. It better. Why the Inflation Reduction Act is less a climate bill and more a poison pill for Black and Indigenous communities and movements. So they're classifying something that the Black Agenda Report classifies as a poison pill for Black and Indigenous communities. That's a climate bill. The Inflation Reduction Act, this is the analogy I give for the Inflation Reduction Act. You got some good things for the environment, coupled with a bunch of bad things for the environment. That's essentially a sinking boat with two people, one person with one bucket taking the water out of the boat, and the other person in the same boat taking water from the ocean and putting it back into the boat. That's what the Inflation Reduction Act is as far as climate change. So let's go back to the video and finish this out and finish this segment out. We'll move to we'll see. I think maybe the Azov Battalion.
Stuff that lifts working people, poor people of color up.
Well, see, here's the thing. So I mean, I know student loan debt relief. I'll take that one for just a moment, because I know for a lot of people, not just young people, but folks who can't buy a house because they still have, it was a big deal. The fear now is that the vengeful other side, that their goal will be to try to take away those things, to somehow repeal that legislation, to go after that, because they're very much against it. They filed lawsuits about it. Is there enough of a Democratic threshold and enough of a crossover sort of normie Republican threshold to hang on to the gains?
Well, the line of defense is going to be in the Senate and the White House, right? So, I mean, we may not be able to hold all the wins.
The line of defense is the Senate and the White House, really? Because Joe Biden has no problem working with Republicans. None. So is the line of defense is the White House? Is that really the line of defense? Is the line of defense the Senate when you got Joe Manchin? And even Bernie Sanders, who votes for NATO. So is that the line of defense? Pramila Jayapal? It was going to be my contention, if the Republicans took over the GOP, that more legislation would get done during a Democrat during the next 2 years than the last. Joe Biden is a Republican, people. Like Obama said in this infamous video, his politics are so moderate in the 80s he would be considered a moderate Republican. Let's continue with the video.
In the House. And in fact, what we might get in the House, I hate this, but what we might get is a really sharp contrast. Republicans trying to strip Social Security and Medicare, right?
Isn't it weird that they think that's a winning idea, that they're going to make old people poor?
Why do they think that, stripping abortion rights is popular?
Yeah, that's so funny that they're stripping rights away from people. That's weird. Let's go ahead and bring up another video where there's other people who've said stuff like this. Let's see who else has talked about stripping these rights away, or stripping, or taking a sledgehammer, a knife to Social Security and other social safety nets. We think it's a bad idea, right?
About which many of us have expressed serious reservations, the effects of which are, in both the short and the long term, cannot be predicted with any degree of certainty. We'll hear a good deal of hyperbole on this amendment, promises by those that this is going to cure all, and promises by those, if it passes, that we're going to go to hell in a handbasket and rapidly, and all our liberties will be taken from us. I hope we kind of keep our eye on the ball here and at least have an open mind to the prospect that we can make this amendment better and still have an amendment. I'm sure someone has looked out over the next 15 years and concluded, if we stay on the track, even the one predicted by the President of the United States, that we will be providing for an increasingly larger share of every tax dollar just to go to reduce interest on the debt. And to me, that's the driving force behind this amendment. When I introduced the budget freeze years ago, the liberals in my party said, it's an awful thing you're doing, Joe. You are all the programs we care about, you're freezing them. Money for the blind, the disabled, education, and so on. And my argument then is one I make now, which is the strongest, most compelling reason to be for this amendment, or an amendment. And that is that if we don't do that, all the things I care most about are going to be gone. I mean, whatever happened to that old conservative discipline about paying for what you spend? I'm up for re-election this year, and I'm going to remind everybody what I did at home, which is going to cost me politically. When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time. Somebody has to tell me in here how we're going to do this hard work without dealing with any of those sacred cows.
That's Joe Biden, the current sitting president. But he changed, right? At the tender age of 65, he was like, I'm gonna be different. That's what happened. And then she also mentioned abortion rights. Why do you think it's a good idea to take away abortion rights? Let's listen to what Joe Biden thinks of abortion, and could quite possibly be why the lackluster response to the overturning of abortion.
I do not view abortion
of Roe v. Wade, I should say, not abortion.
I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy. And I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions. And they ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I think the vast majority of the American people think that can be done. I do not view abortion as a I'm going to let it play again, as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy. And I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions. And they ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I think the vast majority of the American.
So that's Joe on abortion and cutting Social Security. Here's another video. Brianna Joy Gray, when she was the sitting press secretary, or when she worked for the Bernie Sanders campaign. This is during the campaign against Joe Biden when they put out the ad about cutting Social Security. So let's listen to this exchange. Katie Tur, or as I like to call her, Katie Turd, and Brianna Joy Gray.
To raise the retirement age.
The corruption
And this is a
problem?
conversation.
What about saying he has a corruption problem?
I think that how you characterize that is up to the voter, and that's fine for them to decide. But what's important is for us to have a conversation on TV, not about conflict between
what does
candidates.
That mean to let the voter decide about a corruption problem? Because your speechwriter is promoting this op-ed that's written by a surrogate that says Joe Biden has a corruption problem, and I'm just not. Is that a campaign sanctioned thing? Does the campaign believe that Joe Biden has a corruption problem?
What the article is describing is the fact that Joe Biden has made deals with Republicans repeatedly over.
Our media is the only media that does the opposite of what they're supposed to do. So what she's doing is defending Joe Biden. Our media is not supposed to be defending a politician. She's on here trying to be combative with Brianna Joy Gray about this op-ed calling Joe Biden corrupt. Is Joe Biden not corrupt? Let's play.
Over the course of his career in order to cut Social Security and to raise the retirement age. And if someone wants to describe that as corrupt, that is up to them.
She's saying, is wanting to cut Social Security while at the same time saying you're not, is that corrupt? This is the press. I said depress, but this is the press. Same thing. This is depressing. But this is the press. Why is the press shielding for a politician? Why is the press shielding for the idea of cutting Social Security? Like it. The pressing. Mike Tyson said it. Depressing. That's depressing. Yeah, Mike Tyson said it. Let's continue.
But what I'm saying right now is that instead of trying to instigate disputes between candidates on
I'm not instigating it. It was written in the Guardian and promoted by your speechwriter.
It's instigate. See, this is that bullshit they do. I'm not instigating it. Why are you inserting it into the interview? The instigation is the insertion and the stubbornness of trying to get past this particular point. Because she's going on with the answer, but you keep interrupting her. That's part of your instigation, you fucking... Just looking at her fucking face. If I couldn't go on there. I could not. Because after the second interruption, I would have went in. So that's why they don't have people like me. That's why they'd like to have people that have been trained through the same sort of systems. Harvard, other Ivy League school, Yale. Because they've been taught the proper etiquette for places like, if I went on there and she cut into me the second time, yeah, I'd have been like, yeah, corrupt. Just like you, who keeps interrupting me trying to talk about the corruption of Joe Biden instead of letting me answer the question. Who are you paid by? Comcast? You know, Comcast had a fundraiser at Joe Biden's house. That's how our interview would have went if I would have went on there. The very first fundraiser Joe Biden had for his presidential run, this last one, was at the home of a Comcast person, executive. That's why he went on MSNBC and Morning Joe to talk about the Tara Reid event when it got out of hand and it wasn't going to go away. He selected them, Comcast. Yes. Comcast owns MSNBC. Should have connected those dots. So Bree called her. Bree didn't call her out, but that was her way of saying what I just said. Instead of trying to instigate this, and then she laughs because she's called out on it. That was an uncomfortable laugh. Why don't you just answer the question? You know how many times people come on there, politicians, you ask them a question, they don't answer it at all, and you don't interrupt them. Katie Turd. So I think I've been ranting on this one an hour, so I think I'm going to cut it here. Pramila goes on to do more lying. I mean, more and more lying about what progressives have done, about Joe Biden administration, about what is progressive. I mean, you saw the little chart, the checklist chart they had as a progressive agenda. This is a fucking joke. So let's change gears here. I'm gonna put up your comments first because your comments are probably connected to this topic before we move to the next topic. Let me see. What do I want to do? We did Pramila. We're gonna do the Italian police bus Azov-tied Nazi terror cell. We'll do that first because the other stories are all connected together. I'll just combine. Nancy stepped down. The tall tale MSNBC says about Nancy, and Steny Hoyer won't speak. I'll put all of those together in one segment. So the next segment we'll do is Italian police bus Azov-tied Nazi terror sale. It'll be a pretty quick story for that one. But let's go to some of your comments, just in case they're on this topic here before we move on. So this was BJG before the liberals threatened her Patreon. She might handle it differently today. Let's see any other comments. Let your mama fantasy have her fantasy. Oh, they're talking about something in the chat. I thought that was something else. My bad. Right here. Bree also just has some brilliant skills at this. I bet today Bree would have shredded that not C lover. Oh, I get it. Not C if you do phonics. I put that one up already. Bree, ever the patient woman, waited out this Karen. She did. Where is any other ones? Let's go down and see any other comments before we move to the next one here. Okay. I don't have a lot of faith in Breonna Joy Gray. Interesting. Well, I guess the question will be faith to do what? Depends on what the task would be, I guess. Hope I got away and stayed away. Paul Pelosi rainbow underwear. What is? Oh, maybe that's a conversation. I didn't mean to. I just saw Paul Pelosi. All right, so I think that's all the comments on this last segment. So I'll close it here, and then we're gonna move to the next topic. Do I have this already set up? Azov-tied Nazi terror cell. That's the next topic we're going to move to here. This one is a very interesting one because They can no longer say the things they say about oops, and this is the article here. About like are they still acting like that they don't have a Nazi problem? Like the liberals, the people who back the Ukraine war? Like, it's so ridiculous the level it's gotten now. But this is the next topic. All right, so short break. Let's like the stream. We're at 534 people watching. 453 likes. That is awesome. Let's see if we can push to 475. Let's push to 475 likes. That's what another... Oh, only 25 more. So another 25 more likes, and let's push to 475. Get a couple more people in here for the next couple of segments. Now, the Pelosi segment will be a vomit party, okay? Because it is very vomit-inducing to listen to her speak about herself, and it's just trigger warning. It's vomit-inducing. So that'll be after the Azov, this next segment. So like the stream, let's get to 475. Where is our Substack? If you're just joining us about an hour, about 70 minutes into the live stream, and you wish you were here for the entire thing, join our Substack and you'll get notifications by email when we go live, generally 30 minutes to 2 hours before we go live. And clips are like 15 minutes before we upload a clip. We'll send out a notification. So join our Substack for that. And if you saw the intro where we talked about the Watts Community Core group, and Tanya, who we know, who my sister know, who I know through my sister, has this great organization that takes care or tries to help take care of the material needs of people in the community of Watts. So her event is on the left, giving away turkeys tomorrow, Friday, November 18th. And RBN is doing a fundraiser for that. We want to give away $25 gift cards. We want to give away 20 of those to 20 different poor and working families. If you can donate to that, Cash App, Mutual Aid Forever. Venmo is Forever Mutual Aid. It's also scrolling at the bottom of the screen if you're able to contribute. It would mean a lot to people, because this is the last time we did it. Like I said, we did a fundraiser with Watts Community Core. RBN did about almost a year ago. It's coming up on a year, but 13 months because it was December. It was for last Christmas 2021, and we raised money and got $50 gift cards, and we gave them away to 20 families for Christmas. A lot of them, to pay bills, do things. The reason we do gift cards, and they're usually Visa gift cards, so that they can use them for what they want. If they want to use it to pay a bill, if they wanted to use it, let them be the people. I don't want to get something that kind of confines them to something specific. So let them determine how they want to use it. So if you're able to contribute, there you go. And it's scrolling there at the bottom. So let's move to the next topic. Next topic is, and that's the name if you want to look them up, Watts Community Core. If you want to look them up. Azov-tied Nazi terror cell. And this is the article. Where am I here? I did want to squeeze in. Let me squeeze in this actually, because this is a shorter story. Israel won't cooperate with the FBI in the investigation of the murdered Palestinian journalists. So because this is just a quick read, I just want to give an update for those that did not hear about this or know about this. This is from The Guardian. Israel will not cooperate with FBI inquiry into killing of Palestinian journalists. So they kind of are taking offense that FBI wants to investigate this, so Israel won't cooperate with FBI. Yeah, that Israel wants to, I'm sorry, that the United States or the FBI wants to be involved with this, so Israel is kind of publicly acting like they're offended, when in actuality, of course, they're just going to find that this is just bullshit, the excuse for it. So the defense minister calls investigation into Shireen Abu Akleh, a killing by Israeli army interference in internal affairs. They called that by the FBI. Now, Israel has said it will not cooperate with an FBI investigation into the killing of the Palestinian American journalist Shireen, and I always say her name wrong, but Shireen Abu Akleh, by the Israeli army. Israel's defense minister Benny Gantz denounced the inquiry as, quote, interference in Israel internal affairs, end quote, and said he, quote, made it clear to the American representative that we stand behind the IDF, Israel Defense Forces soldiers, that we will not cooperate with any external investigation, end quote. Quote, the decision of the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate the unfortunate death of Shireen Abu Akleh is a grave mistake. The IDF conducted an independent and professional investigation, which was presented to the Americans who shared the details, gets said. But an outright failure to cooperate would complicate relationships with Washington and reinforce claims of Israeli cover-up of Abu Akleh's death, as she reported on military raid on the West Bank city of Jenin in May. The FBI investigation comes after months of pressure from the highly respected Al Jazeera journalist family, who had accused the Biden administration of skulking toward the erasure of any wrongdoing by Israeli forces. The family was backed by dozens of members of Congress. So I'll leave it there, waiting for more developing details about this story, more response from the FBI and what they're going to do a longer segment on this developing story. So Israel will not cooperate with the FBI. All right, so that was a very, very short story. So let's now go back to the Gray Zone article. Is this it? That's not it. This is it. All right, so let's go now to play that. Play this. Something curious. I'll come back to this for the Pelosi story, but I'll be covering this tweet. Yeah, I just realized that's for the Pelosi story. I did not forget to do that. Here is the Gray Zone right here. This is what I'm looking for. So this is the Gray Zone tweet, and I'll read it. Blowback. Italian police bust Azov-tied Nazi terror cell planning terrorist attack. A series of arrests highlight the terrifying potential for blowback from the Ukraine proxy war. And this is a news clip from Italy, and they're showing all the Azov Nazi paraphernalia. And I'll read because it's in Italian. And I took Italian in college, actually, but you know, it is what it is. I don't know too much. But anyway, excuse me. Let's continue. I don't think I need the sound. I'll just read it.
Negazionisti tra le
So we'll listen. Yeah, we'll listen to the whole thing, and then I'll replay it and kind of translate, I guess, because I don't know how quickly they're gonna go through this. I'll try it without the sound. Let's try it. So, neo-Nazi Holocaust deniers, white supremacists between the province of Naples and some other cities, 5 people were arrested. One is ordered to submit to judicial police in Rome, where he resides. The substance belongs to groups dedicated to terrorism, the Order of Hegel. The investigation by Doggles. Oops.
Napoli. PM.
Sorry. I'm sure I said this wrong. Deagles and counter in terrorism was
Vigos e dell'antiterrorismo
coordinated by the Naples Public Prosecutor's Office and Antonello. These names, Antonello and Claudio. Let's just do that.
Dalla Procura di Napoli, PM Antonello Ardituro e Claudio Onorati con Giovanni Melilli.
With Giovanni, now national and anti-mafia prosecutor. They're talking about the people who are in positions of prosecutorial power in Italy is the names of the people they're talking about
Ora
here.
procuratore nazionale antimafia, già nel 2020.
The investigation led to the searches in 2021
durante le quali
during which many weapons of various kinds and Nazi symbols emerged. Some members would travel abroad to be trained by ultra nationalist military groups.
I componenti sarebbero andati all'estero per essere addestrati da gruppi militari ultranazionalisti.
Look at that. That's the Azov battalion. One of the members of the order is a fugitive in Ukraine.
Dei destinatari dell'ordinanza è latitante proprio in Ucraina, dove l'associazione
where he had contacted with the Azov battalion engaging in the war and more. This cannot be good for this proxy war. I mean, I think they're starting to talk about more diplomatic means. I mean, I don't know if that's an indication that they realize that, hey, they're kind of bled this dry. Like people who were for it before, and they're starting to lose support amongst those people. So they can only hold on a little bit longer to this. But let me continue with the translation here.
avrebbe contatti con il battaglione Azov, impegnato nella guerra, e non solo.
He also had frequent contacts also with Right Skelter and Centria.
Contatti frequenti anche con Pravi Sector e Centuria.
Dalle attività
From interception and
di intercettazione è emerso come
we found that members of the Order of Hegel
siano andati
have
a fare
gone
dei
for
corsi di
courses in
addestramento
combat training hand to hand, especially
in particolar modo utilizzando
using
il
Krav Maga, a system of fighting techniques,
di combattimento, e anche
and also training in the use of both short and long weapons.
Non tutti, però.
Not all, however, only some
diciamo
had
che
also detained diplomas from doing these courses.
Altre perquisizioni
Other
sono in
searches
corso
are
in tutta
underway
Italia.
throughout
Il profilo
Italy. The profile of the members is largely ordinary.
sarebbe in larga parte ordinario, liberi professionisti,
Freelancers,
operai,
workers,
commercianti,
merchants,
students. In alcune
in some
intercettazioni è emersa la volontà
intercepts
di
it
preparare
emerged that they
azioni
were preparing
violente,
violent actions,
ipotizzando
for
ad
example,
esempio
an
un
attack
attentato
on the
alla
police
stazione dei
station
carabinieri
of Marie Glenlano in Napoleon.
di Marigliano, nel napoletano. Gaia Bozza,
Okay, you can see those names on the screen.
G24, Napoli.
That's amazing. So it was hard translating or trying to translate that. So let's now go to the actual article, and that'll kind of clear up any lost in sort of translation understanding because of the choppy translation that I was able to provide here. So let's read. Now, this is by Alexander Rubinstein. Okay, and this was written a couple of days ago. The arrest of Italian neo-Nazi affiliated with the Ukrainian Azov battalion highlights the terrifying potential for blowback from the Ukraine proxy war. Italian police announced a series of raids against the neo-Nazi Order of Hegel organization. I think I'm saying Hegel, accused of stockpiling weapons and planning terror attacks. The group has established operational ties to the Ukrainian Azov battalion. 5 members of an Italian neo-Nazi organization known as the Order of Hegel were arrested on November 15th, while an additional member remained wanted by authorities. He happened to be in Ukraine fighting Russian forces alongside the Azov battalion, which has been formally integrated into the Ukrainian military. Oops. The Hegel members are accused of plotting terrorist attacks on civilians and police targets. A 6th member of the Hegel group, now considered a fugitive, is in Ukraine and embedded with the Azov battalion, a neo-Nazi paramilitary group that has been incorporated into the Ukrainian National Guard. Members of the orders of Hegel reportedly maintain, quote, direct and frequent, end quote, contacts over Telegram with not just the Azov battalion, but also the neo-Nazi Ukrainian military formation Right Sector and Centria. Quote, probably in the view of possible recruitment in the ranks of these fighting groups, according to Italian media. The police investigation was launched in 2019 and has included extensive computer searches and wiretapping tactics, which have revealed members of the groups intent on carrying out violent acts in Italy. So I think we can stop there. We went over the actual news clip from Italy, and also this great reporting from the Gray Zone. And shout out to Max Blumenthal over at the Gray Zone. Friend of the show, friend of the network. He was on the Anti-Imperialist Summit. He was on the... Was it another summit? Maybe it wasn't Summit, but he was on on RBN maybe a total of 3 or 4 times so far. So great from the Gray Zone. And now it's time to get to the main event, and that is by Felicia. Let me see here. Here's your one. I can close this one. Close this one. And let's go to this first video. And this first video is the Majority Report, titled "Breaking: Nancy Pelosi Stepping Down from the House Democratic Leadership." Short video, 4 minutes, because this is when the news just dropped. So they probably have another segment, longer segment later. Let's listen.
Nancy Pelosi is stepping down from leadership. We will get to some sound
and
about
it looks like she's
later,
clearing the way for Jeffries.
Yes,
which is bad, and he's going to be an enemy.
That is bad.
And the thing is like, I just want to point out, like, what other people that follow New York politics is like. It proves that we're not going to learn anything from the underperformance of, say, New York, because Jeffries is exactly the sort of like. So
if you can't hear the dummy off screen, I think he's the dumbest person in podcasting is always the voice that's off screen on the Majority Report. But if you can't hear what he's saying pretty much what's the big deal? Hakeem Jeffries is going to replace him likely, and Hakeem Jeffries is the same. Basically embodies the same issues of the New York Democratic Party, who just got demolished by Republicans. Bree put out a video. Her latest episode is about this. I did a stream on this already. Actually, I covered it a couple of days ago. So let's go back and listen more. Let's listen more closely to the guy off screen speaking.
Nancy Pelosi is stepping down from leadership. We will get to some sound
And
about
it looks
that
like she's
later.
clearing the way
but
for Jeffries.
Yes.
He said it looks like she's clearing the way for Jeffries, is what he said.
Which is bad, and he's going to be an enemy.
That is bad.
And the thing is I just want to point out, like, what other people that follow New York politics is, like, it proves that we're not going to learn anything from the underperformance of, say, New York, because Jeffries is exactly the sort of, like, buy into the right wing concern trolling about all these different things and attack the left kind of guy. So
yes, he is in the
turn your mic on. Yeah. I mean, he was at the leading the charge, essentially saying defund the police was costing the Democrats. Go on, Bradley.
Yeah, sorry, just to say he's like very much in the Jay Jacobs mold, the state Democratic Party chair, where it's like the concerted effort in a lot of ways in the state level seems to not be.
So Jay Jacobs is the head of the Democratic Party in the state of New York. They all know all this New York politics. I think they're in New York. Yeah, they're in New York. So they know all about all this New York politics. So Jay Jacobs, so when they say he's just like Jay Jacobs is who AOC is demanding the resignation for. I did the stream on this. She's demanding the resignation, and others are demanding the resignation after this. This is the second time that AOC is demanding for the resignation of Jay Jacobs. And it's because of these last losses that they just lost, including the Sean Patrick Maloney loss. So it's all tied together. I did a stream on it. But he's saying Hakeem Jeffries is very similar, or made in the same mold as Jay Jacobs. Now, what they're mad at, it's kind of weird what they're mad at in New York. They're mad that essentially the Democratic Party wasn't able to gerrymander districts for the Democratic Party. So they want his head. That's essentially, if you boil it down to its most essential storyline, that's what it is. Let's listen more to this short clip.
Be against Republicans or against conservatives. It's to essentially beat the left.
Yeah.
Beat the left and have moral and political victories over the left and over DSA.
These are reactionary Democrats, and it says a lot about Pelosi. I think that she
reactionary Democrats. That's like saying wet water. There's no need to say reactionary. Democrats are reactionary. Both parties are reactionary parties. Both parties don't want progress. So this is a question I asked in the past. How can you call yourself progressive if you support a reactionary party? It doesn't make any sense. But we digress. Let's get back on point with this interview.
Would that there's no question that she's going to put it in the hands of another guy who's just been sort of like groomed by the reactionary donor class to attack the left.
I mean, I just like he is Joe Crowley-esque. Yeah. He is younger, but you know, he is a person of color, but he is Joe Crowley-esque in terms of the machine that has created him and the kind of party that he wants to create.
And he's part of the Brooklyn machine, which honestly, it's hard to pick because the Bronx machine is also pretty repellent. The Queens machine isn't that much better, but to say nothing of the Manhattan machine, but the Brooklyn machine is one of the most rank corrupt establishments in anywhere in the entire country, and he is a creature of that. And so that's partially what we have to look forward to. And also, frankly,
so they hate them some Hakeem Jeffries. So I guess they get that part right over at Majority Report. So from how they're talking about him, it sounds like they don't like Hakeem Jeffries. So that's a good thing.
He's young by their standards. He's 52. He's
I know.
Spring chicken.
Yeah,
52
well,
years old. First time in House leadership.
Exactly. But we've been saying this for months and months, if not years, that the Progressive Caucus needs to be kind of coalescing behind someone. I believe that Sam and I both kind of asked Ilhan Omar this question, Representative Omar, a few times. She was hinting that the Progressives did want a challenge to Hakeem Jeffries. We just don't know who that is going to be. I can't see Jayapal, after kind of a rocky few months, making that leap. So got to be somebody, but seems like
Katie Porter, I feel like would be.
I mean, Purple State, or not Purple State, Purple District just won
re-election campaign.
Right. But it does seem
Katie Porter.
They really want like another safe blue seat where there's a big pool of donors. That's what they want.
Absolutely.
Pelosi in San Francisco.
And a guy who's friendly with them.
Hakeem Jeffries in New York. Appeals to those people.
Think about being on the team where the next leader is about to be terrible, and you're just gonna go, yeah, that's what we got. Like, why are you on that team? Let's continue.
Lots of them at his disposal,
and hates the left.
That too.
Like that's
reliable, and you know what that means.
What's the
That's a
difference
feature,
in
not a
Nancy
bug.
Pelosi?
Like he takes great pleasure in it, like Maloney did, and look where that got him.
Well, Nancy Pelosi will remain a member of the House, she says, just not in leadership anymore, meaning
retire.
She's going to retire soon. If not, in the middle of her term at the end of this next 2-year term in 2024.
So that's their reaction. And now let's kind of go to a couple of videos, actually, because there's a lot of content here. This is the deification of Nancy Pelosi. So let's watch a couple of videos of Nancy. Here's one. And then we'll get to her speech. I'm trying to delay the vomit-inducing part of this. So
my colleagues just bestowed upon me the great honor to be the leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives. They did so in across the board, overwhelming vote of support, and I'm very, very honored. I was honored by my campaign manager, Jack Murtha, who chaired my campaign. I was honored. Yay, Jack. Yay. I was honored by those who placed my name in nomination, including Dave Obey and Hilda Solis, who were here, and Dutch Ruppersberger from Baltimore, new member. Any other nominators out here? It is a staggering honor. There is no question about it. But to follow in the footsteps of Dick Gephardt is a very special privilege indeed. My colleagues just bestowed upon me the great honor.
So that's Nancy. Can't believe she's been doing this long, but that's Nancy. Let's go to another video. This is the recount. They put out a couple of videos on her. So let's watch this other one of her by them.
The American people know these names have to go. The worse the Senate will look for just letting the president off the hook. Quickest of the two, they will receive their back pay and the pay that is due. As we investigate, the House will also legislate in the dark of night with the speed of light.
If you're on the no-fly list, then you belong on the no-buy list.
Just when you think you've seen it all, the children will pay for the president's wall. The American people know these.
That was her poem. If you noticed, it was rhyming. Then this video here just kind of showing them giving her praise. Ruling class patting each other on the back. Literally hundreds of millions of dollars just in this shot. These are the people that don't give a fuck about us. Praising the number one person who don't give a fuck about us. And Maxine Waters is terrible. She's over here. She's terrible too. So let's go to Chucky. And he's saying, thank you, Speaker. And it is an honor of a lifetime to work with you. Ain't that something? Good old Israel loving Chucky. Let's listen to his oh, fuck that. I'm not listening to no 6 minutes of this. We can listen to a couple seconds. This is 6 minutes. This motherfucker.
Mr. President, I just left the floor of the House for one of the most emotional moments I've had in my career, the valedictory of Nancy Pelosi, one of the
most emotional times. Was this?
Legislators and greatest people I've ever met. I first met Nancy Pelosi back in 1987. I was a congressman, and we had a little dinner group that would go out to dinner every Tuesday night. And one of the leaders of that group, George Miller, congressman from California, came up to me. He said, in a few minutes, I'm going to introduce you to a new member of our group. She's the new congresswoman from San Francisco, and she's going to become the first woman speaker. That was the first thing I heard about Nancy Pelosi, even before I met her. And the moment I met her, I saw what he meant. It was obvious that this new member from the West Coast of California had it all. Nancy.
And all of it just means her father was part of politics, and she had a foot in the door ahead of a lot of other people, and was able to get ahead of the game with fundraising, which is the #1 criteria for reaching a position. She did. These fucking petty bourgeoisie, ruling class, managerial, who we call elected officials, patting themselves on the back for what they're doing is just fucking disgusting. Is your oh, I gotta say that joke. All right, so let's I'm not gonna listen to any more of good old Chuck. Let's do something else. We're gonna listen to her full speech. Not full, but we're gonna play her full speech. I don't know if we're gonna listen to the whole thing, but let's see what the good people over at Breakthrough News put together. And this is what it reads. While much of the corporate-owned media is singing, this is what I said earlier, singing Nancy Pelosi's praise and lauding her as a historical figure, we like to remind people of which class she has really represented. And no, telling the truth about this doesn't mean you support. They already knew that was going to be the attack. So let me retweet that, and then let's play it.
So this is Nancy Pelosi's financial disclosure report. It's something every member of Congress has to file, and it shows all of their assets, stocks, properties, bank accounts. You get the idea. So right off the bat, we see 3 properties valued between $5 million and $25 million. You'll see this a lot. With a lot of these assets, you aren't required to disclose an exact valuation, just a really wide range of possible values. Either way, she's got 3 of these properties. The first one is her home, which also doubles as a vineyard in Napa, California. One cool thing about her house is that it actually generates its own flow of money. Right here, it says she makes anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million in grape sales. Let us know in the comments who you think picks these grapes. The other 2 properties are commercial properties. The first one appears to be a Walgreens, and you see the asset type says RP, which stands for real property. That means that you own everything on the land and everything permanently attached to it as well, so the building in this case. The other property is a 4-story building in San Francisco. Nancy Pelosi reports making between $100,000 and $1 million in rent off of these 2 properties. Next, let's take a look at her stock and options portfolio. So there are actually way too many stocks and options to go through each one, so I'm going to put up all the companies that Nancy Pelosi owns a piece of. There's a pretty good chance that a number of you watching this actually work for some of these companies. Nancy Pelosi is raking in tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars, owning shares of what amounts to your labor. She holds anywhere from $5 million to $25 million in both Apple and Visa stock. In fact, Nancy Pelosi was involved in an insider trading scandal where she bought 5,000 shares of Visa stock during its initial public offering. This was around the time there was a bill circulating through the House of Representatives that would have regulated credit card companies. 2 days after the IPO, Visa shares jumped 50% in value, and the credit card bill never made it to the floor. Nancy Pelosi clearly has a thing for blue chip stocks. She bought several millions of dollars of blue chip stocks in 2018. Finally, Nancy Pelosi has several ownership interests, meaning special rights of the property owner with several businesses. These ownership trusts are marked by an OL. Again, there are way too many to go through each and every one, but here are the different ownership interests that she declares. These companies range from investment firms to real estate companies, law firms, restaurants. There was even a resort in there. And she's raking millions of dollars in passive income off of these businesses. She's basically making money in her sleep. All in all, this puts her net worth anywhere between $34 million and $257 million. But the point here isn't that Nancy Pelosi is some extraordinarily corrupt politician or that she's some kind of outlier in all of this. She's actually not even the wealthiest member of Congress. The point is that this system is fundamentally divided into two groups. Those who get up every morning and work 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day and live paycheck to paycheck, and then those who own the companies that these people work for, and by extension, everything these workers produce for the companies. In other words, people who make a living simply by owning things. People like Nancy Pelosi and all the other owners out there are entitled to the profits from selling what we build with our hands and our heads, not because they break their backs submitting to labor, but because they buy expensive pieces of paper that say, I own 10% of Apple, or I own 50% of every sale that this restaurant makes. The point here is that it's this system that rewards politicians who choose to put the interests of those who own corporations by making these politicians small owners too. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't be worth over $100 million if she didn't help generate several billions of dollars for the world's most powerful corporations. That's the same reason why the majority of members of the 116th Congress are millionaires. So the next time a politician tells you to be satisfied with what they got you, remind them that everything that they have comes from the labor of people like you.
Great clip. I wanted to play the whole thing. Yeah, you can go. This level of corruption by Nancy Pelosi is just terrible. I mean, you saw all the things that he was going through about Nancy Pelosi, and it's just amazing. It's almost like she had a different job other than working in Congress. And this is the person that they're praising all over mainstream media. I'm looking in comments. I just realized there was a super chat that I got earlier today. I think I got one earlier today, if I'm not mixing up the days. So I'm going all the way back. But anyway, I wanted this clip to be placed in. Okay, so I did find it. All right, so it was a super sticker. Wanted to make sure I did not neglect those that send a super chat. And here's the other one. So this will jog my memory about the previous one. So we, the people, are we ready to ditch this corrupt system already? For myself, I don't think I can stomach another selection, not election, selection. General strike now, direct democracy next. And that's from Natalie Williams. Thank you, Natalie, for the super chat. But that is a spot on super chat. And I agree. These aren't elections. These are selections. And that is a great analogy to have. Looks like Ronald Shaw just sent another one. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other. All right, so let's read this other super chat. This one just came through. Ronald Shaw. Nothing reveals a person's true character like money and power. If you remember when she first entered Congress, she was AOC before AOC sold out. That is absolutely. And I did a stream. It's so funny you say that because it's called. Well, I did a couple of streams. One is called AOC, the new Pelosi, because that's the trajectory that AOC is going to be going. But I did another stream where the title was something like Nancy Pelosi was AOC, or AOC is Nancy Pelosi 30 years ago. And you saw the video clip that we played. Thank you, Ronald, for the super chat. You saw the video that we played showing Nancy Pelosi speaking when she was first elected as Speaker. She believed in Medicare for all, for example. We've all seen the video of her talking about that. But anyway, let's now watch her actually talking. And this is where I said, break out your Pepto, break out whatever you take for nausea. We're gonna watch a little bit of. Where is the video that I watched? Not that one. Okay. Oh, good Lord. It's on CNN. All right. So we're going to watch a little bit. Of course, we're not watching all of this crap. We'll see when I have to tap out. I'll have to tap out. I'm sure I will, but we'll see how long it takes for me to have to tap out of this next video. So I saved it to the end because I really couldn't think of really want to hear this, but we have to cover stuff like this in this podcasting that we do. So you guys ready? Oh Lord, this is gonna be terrible. All right, let's listen.
Madam Speaker, as we gather here, we stand on sacred ground, the chamber of the United States House of Representatives, the heart of American democracy. I will never forget the first time I saw the Capitol. It was on a cold January day when I was 6 years old. My father, Thomas D'Alessandro Jr., was about to be sworn in for his 5th term in Congress, representing our beloved hometown of Baltimore. I was riding in the car with my brothers, and they were thrilled and jumping up and down and saying to me, Nancy, look, there's the Capitol.
It's so weird sometimes when I hear rich white people tell stories like this, and they don't even hear that they're telling the story of white privilege. They don't even know that. They don't even know. Nancy Pelosi has no idea. This little story you're telling, the story of privilege, how since 6 years old, you've been coming to this place, and now you're the speaker. What gains have black people had since you were 6 and now you're here? What are those gains? But somehow you were able to gain this position clearly because of your father. And now you've made $100 million while you've in office. So let's continue.
And every time I'd say, I don't see any capital. Is it a capital A, a capital B, or a capital C? And finally, I saw it. A stunning white building with a magnificent dome. I believed then, as I believe today, this is the most beautiful building in the world because of what it represents. The Capitol is a temple of our democracy, of our Constitution, of our highest ideals. On that day, I stood with my father on this floor.
She was like, y'all didn't get the memo. That was a part of the script. This is where you clap. Yeah, go ahead. That's essentially what just happened. So let's continue.
as he took a sacred oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. All of us who have served in this House have taken the hallowed oath of office. And it is the oath that stitches us together in a long and storied heritage. Colleagues who served before us are all our colleagues. Colleagues like Abraham Lincoln, Daniel Webster, Shirley Chisholm, Patsy Mink, and our beloved John Lewis. Personally, it binds me as a colleague to my father, a proud New Deal congressman and one of the earliest Italian Americans to serve in the Congress. And this is an oath we are duty bound to keep, and it links us with the highest aspirations of the ages. In this room, our colleagues across history have abolished slavery, granted women the right.
My bad, everybody. My bad. It's a good thing that y'all didn't hear that, because I'm not gonna say it the same way again, because that may have gotten this video taken down. I swear God is looking after me. Not that I'm saying that as figuratively, meaning I swear somebody's looking after me, because I'm glad that shit was on mute, because after I said it, I was like, oh, shit. So that was one of those lucky mutes there. So, yes, I'm... okay, so, yes, saved by the mic. That was saved by the mic. So, I've got caught muted before. But that was one that saved me. So, let me say it a different way. Let me say it this way. So in the time since she was 6 into the time now, she's made $100 million in the speakership. This is a story of white privilege. But it's the story of the United States is what I was saying. And I'm going to say it this way to clean it up a little bit. It's the story of the United States, because it's the dual ability of being able to say, like she said, we abolished slavery. Like the ability to say you abolish slavery while at the same time having a 1994 crime bill that literally put a couple of hundred thousand bodies back on the plantation. But we can say we've abolished slavery publicly, you see? And I'm going to clean it up in a better way of saying it. It parallels the whole identity of the United States. And that is, at the same time, pounding your chest about this freedom and democracy, while at the same time having genocides of the native people, at the same time having, exploiting, raping, killing, lynching, enslaved Africans, having the ability to say both things at the same time is a unique ability of the United States have and Americans have. To call yourself free and to call yourself a beacon of freedom and democracy, while at the same time you still have people, you have black people under Jim Crow, you have black people before Reconstruction, all these things. So I cleaned it up. Yeah. So in a better way, I'm saying this kind of illustrates that. Her ability to talk about her achievements, her time here, knowing the corruption, knowing the destruction and the deaths that she has been in leadership over, that ability. It's mind-blowing sometimes to me to just sit back and think of that how the United States and Americans have that ability to do that. So let's get back.
Right to vote, establish Social Security and Medicare, offered a hand to the weak, care to the sick, education to the young, and hope to the many. Indeed, it is here, under the gaze of our patriarch, George Washington, in the People's House, that we have done the people's work. My colleagues, I stand before you as Speaker of the House, as a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a devout Catholic, a proud Democrat, and a patriotic American, a citizen of the greatest republic in the history of the world.
There goes that line again. The greatest republic in the history of the world by whose standards? Western standards? Let's continue.
Which President Lincoln called the last best hope on earth.
I'm not gonna do any more. I can't do no more. So I said this when Marianne Williamson did it. Stop quoting old white people. Stop reminiscing about old white times. Because how can we bring up these older times without understanding those older times is when Black people were literally in a worst off condition. So Abraham Lincoln is not somebody to be quoting, in my opinion, for much. But I think I'm gonna clip it there. I can't stomach. That's why I was trying to get a bunch of other videos, people talking about this, because I really can't stomach hearing her talk for all that long of a time. So I'm going to end it here. But I do want to just do a quick check. Ooh, how do I go back? Okay, there we go. I want to do a quick check to make sure I'm not missing any breaking news. Typically, stuff breaks during our stuff. So let's see here. Let's see. Can you see this? Yeah, you can. All right, so let's see. GOP takes over House. Strike wave explode. Okay, so that's status quo. You see ours, Heartland's Media, inaccurate credit reporting. Deadly missile strike in Poland, likely from Ukraine. Okay. All right, so it doesn't look like any breaking information here. Okay, so I feel good that we can move on and bring this to wind this down. There was a video. I'm gonna see how long it is, because there was a video that I wanted to cover from Breaking Points, but I want to see if it's too long. It may be too long for me to cover it real quickly here. But as I'm looking, oh no, it could be the Hill. Never mind, it's the Hill. So let me go to the Hill and I'm gonna we're gonna chop these segments up as quickly as we can. So we're at 651 likes. Thank you. If we can push to 675 on the way out, that will be great. I think I'm just gonna save it for another time. I don't want to overload this stream, and yeah, I can go ahead and now. So let's push to 675 on our way out. Let's see what we want to end the show on today, a closing video. But before I do that, make sure to donate if you're able to we have a fundraiser trying to raise money, $500 to give away $25 gift cards to working class families, poor families, about 20 of them. That's the goal. Donate to Mutual Aid Forever on Cash App and Forever Mutual Aid. The event on the left is the event that these gift cards will be given out if you're able to contribute to that. Let me take that down. And let's go to a closeout video here. Got some kind of thing on my leg here. So yeah, if you're able to contribute, please do. This is a historical video. Now, this is not the closeout video. I do want to play it. Just listen to this. This is a guy. I don't know if this is a city hall. Let's see. But this is a man complaining. This sounds like the complaining that would happen at a city hall or some kind of function of a meeting. So let's listen.
And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
I'll let it play again.
And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
So yeah, great video. All right, so let's go to another video that I'm going to be closing out with. I thought it was here, but it could be. Yeah, it is actually. Sorry, everybody, went to the wrong account. It's on the Revolutionary Blackout account. Now, let's do that. White Savior Complex. Great video on our Twitter account. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. Very informative. So we're going to end with this video here. This is the story of poverty, the poverty that we're going through.
You listen to it, you want some of those, right? No. See, that's why I like y'all when y'all small. They accept stuff. You get too big.
This is one of the first videos I retweeted from, I think is Black Detour, when I discovered that account. So thank you for watching today. I'll throw up your comments as the video plays. So throw your comments up, still throw those comments. I'll toss some comments in as the video plays on the way out. Thank you for watching. If you're able to donate, please do. I'm your host, CJ, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm doing a show with a person who wants to the movement to abolish child protective services. So tomorrow, doing a show, an interview with a person from that movement. So I'll be back tomorrow for that interview, and I'm leaving you with this video.
I'm embarrassed because I'm poor and because I live in a shelter. It makes me feel like I just wish I never lived here.
Hey, Mom.
I will stand.